It was a very long journey. And at some point, after I had a trip to India and returned, and then had several other surgeries, he suggested that maybe I should ask someone to see you. So I was like, oh, okay. By the time he was mentioning Professor Kapapa, I was very sick and I was worn out. I had gone through maybe 8 or 9 brain surgeries, failed ones, brain shunts failing, infections and all that. I had faced all those problems with my brain shunts. I'm Jane Tide Mangani. I live here in Blantyre. I got to know Professor Kapapa through Professor Kamal, who has been my doctor for a very long time. Because of the sickness that I've been through. So the time he mentioned Dr. Thomas, I had come to a point where I was almost giving up. So he said, I'm talking to some doctor, he may see you. So I was like, but you're saying this doctor is in Germany. And he said, yeah, but I will talk to him. So I had lost hope. I didn't know the purpose of living. I had just lost everything. So I said, okay. In my heart, I said, okay, let's see what he wants to do this time. Because I had seen so many efforts that he had done to help me. And almost everything was failing. So a month went and another went. I was just sick at home by then. He would check up on me every time. I would go to the hospital every time. He would do everything to keep me comfortable, but I was very sick. So there was a day he called and said, guess what? I have good news for you. I smiled, but didn't know what was good. And he was like, Professor Thomas is coming to Malawi for you. At some point, I didn't believe it. I was like, okay, how would a whole doctor come from Germany for me? And how? Why? I was like, I smiled, but I wasn't sure if this was real. So a month passed. I got to the neuro ward around, Professor said I should get there around 7:30 in the morning, and I was there. When I got there, they told me, just wait, we are fixing the beds and all that. So I sat by the bench. I couldn't sit by then. So my daughter sat and I lie on her lap. We waited until when we heard the nurse say, Jen Mangani. I stood and went into the bed. She said, in the morning, like you were supposed to come in the morning. I was like, we came by 7 because that was around 10 now. She said, that's your bed. I got there. Because my BPs fluctuates, they gave me a pair of compression socks. They gave me a uniform. I sat in bed. And when I sat there, around 1, Professor Kamalo said, I'm coming with a surprise. I was like, what now? Because by then I was very weak and my head was full of scars from the previous surgeries. Some stitches were still even on. They had not removed from the previous surgeries. So I tried to raise my head to see the surprise. And all I saw was 4 guys and a guy coming on a wheelchair. My heart skipped. I was like, okay, that's my doctor. It's just that I didn't have the energy. I wish I gave him a hug. But I was very weak. But I still managed to sit up to greet him with my hand. He was like, you are Jane. I've heard a lot about you. I breathed. I felt this relief. I felt this peace inside me and this freedom, like someone is taking me out of prison. Or I always fail to explain what I felt on that day. There was this, yes. So he told me, I've heard what you've been through. I've heard the pain that you've gone through, and I'm honestly impressed. I didn't expect you to see you like this. I was like, okay. So what you do, you just pray for us, that God should be with us in your surgery. I promise you, we will do the best, but God is the one who will heal you. Don't worry about all these scars. One day you will have your hair back and you'll comb your hair. And I said, and you think I'll have hair again? Because by then I was bald. They had taken out all the hair. And the scars will go to an extent that I'll have hair in my head. He said, oh yeah, just believe. Give yourself peace today. Pray for your peace and pray for us. Everything will be okay. I was like, okay. And he left with his team. They greeted me, he introduced the whole team, and they went. I sat in my bed with a lot of excitement and a lot of expectations. In the morning, as usual, as to what I agreed with my kids, I don't like them to see me when I'm going to the surgeries. I hate seeing them. It feels like I'm saying bye to them. So this time we agreed that they don't come. I had my sister with me at the hospital. In the morning, as usual, I bathed and my sister prayed for me. We prayed together, and she encouraged me. She told me, you've been a survivor, you've survived a lot, and this one also you will survive. Excuse me. And she told me that you also survived this. You are a great fighter, a person I've never seen. She praised me. I felt like she's just saying those things. She walked with me to the theater door, as usual. She was holding my hand. And when we got there, she prayed for me. And she told me, Jane, you've got to come back for the efforts I've had on you. I said, I will. Then the doctors welcomed me. I saw Professor Thomas there. I saw Professor Kamalo and the staff. Everybody had lined up there. I felt scared because the theater door had a lot of doctors. At some point, my heart could skip, but I said, no, this is the last time I'm doing this. Let me just do it. If God wants to take me through this, let him take me because I'm tired. But if he wants to heal me, let him heal me now. So we went in there. I don't remember what time we went in, and I still don't recall what time we came out. But I remember my sister was like, Jen. And I was like, am I in the HDU? And he says, yeah, you are. But you were busy bragging about pillows. I said, what? She says, no, you were busy telling the nurses that the pillows feel like the ones in the Emirates flights and all that. You are busy bragging about the Dubai flights. I was like, really? She says, yes, but you are out of the theater. Now you are in the HD ward. I started praying. I thanked God because I didn't know that I was going to come out of that theater. So I slept that evening because I think I was on medications and all those things from the theater. And the next morning, Professor Thomas came and was like, Jen, good morning. I was like, good morning. He said, you can go have your bath. I said, really? He said, yes, you can walk and have a bath. I wasn't sure. When he left, I asked my sister to take me down the bed. I walked to the bathroom and surely I bathed myself. My sister did not bath me. I still had the catheter, yes. When I came back from the bathroom, I felt dizzy and I almost fell down. Fortunately for the HDU nurses, they are always attentive with their patients. I didn't fall to the floor because the nurse rushed and helped my sister, picked me back to the beds. I've never seen such care in Malawi, especially in government hospitals. The HDU nurses are a thing. We go to private hospitals, we think they are taking care of us because it's a private hospital, but those nurses, they do anything and everything to make you feel very comfortable and keep the hope in you. So she said, no, Jen, you'll be okay, don't worry, we will try again. She took me back to the bed and they put back the wires and all those things. I sat in bed, I cried because I think I was just terrified because I didn't even fall, but I cried. So around 10, Professor Thomas said, you can eat. I was like, what? Oh, yeah. You can eat. If you want to eat something soft, you can have something. In the afternoon, we'll take you for a CT scan. I said, okay. Then in the afternoon, they pulled my bed. We went to the CT scan. And when we came back, he came and told me that everything is okay. You'll be in the hospital for a few days just to monitor you, but you're fine. I was like, okay. And the next day, I woke up again, went to bath. I stayed, I think, 3 or 4 days. I was discharged a day before my birthday, I think. And I came home. Life was a bit hard because by then I was living in a boys' quarters where I had to use a pit latrine, and you know, I had just my daughter and my son to take care of me because my sister had to go back home. But life went on. Every day was different. Every day felt different. I started working again around my compound because for the past 2 years I had been grounded that I couldn't go even outside that gate. But my daughter could say, do you want a walk around? Do you want to see your unfinished house? This time, this house was unfinished. So she could take me around. They could hold me, my son this side and my daughter this side. I could walk around the house, see it, and I started telling them how I would make that garden, how I would be sitting under there. I would tell them and would walk back into the house. So a month passed. After that, my daughter said, Mommy, let's try get out of the fence today. So the first day I walked just to the fence and came back. Everything felt too much for me. But with time, I started doing, like, I could make my bed. And my daughter returned to school to finish her degree. I stayed back with my son, and that's it. I had this surgery. Was it in 2022? I think on the 18th May, if I have to be precise.
I mean, having like trained in Malawi, never really had, didn't know a neurosurgeon. There hasn't been a practicing neurosurgeon in Malawi for some time. But then when I was in college, our first fellow of department of surgery was a neurosurgeon. So that's like the first neurosurgeon I knew was an eminent neurosurgeon from Nigeria. So probably must have impressed me in some way because I said it was the first neurosurgeon that I knew. And then eventually with my family, I think my son was born with a neurosurgical problem. Then I traveled to Uganda to look for help, which was not available in Malawi. And then after that, when I came back, I realized that what was happening there, it looked doable. So I was inspired to leave whatever I was doing and then join the surgical department and eventually went for training. So I think the main motivation that time was, I think it was my son who pushed me, but I felt like what I went to Uganda to look for the help that I got there. There are a lot of people in Malawi who cannot manage to do that. So I felt maybe if I train in neurosurgery, then I could bring services closer home, which is probably what we are doing now.
My name is Thomas Kapapa, Thomas Chidongo Kapapa. I am a neurosurgeon from Germany. I lived for quite a long time in Germany, but my roots are here in Malawi because my father comes from Dedza and my mother comes from Chena. But we left Malawi in the late 70s, so that's why I grew up in Germany. And from time to time, I'm back here in Malawi because my mother lives here in Malawi. Now I'm almost 20 years in clinical, more than 20 years. As a human being, I'm always learning. There's no finished learning. Yeah? So I'm still learning, and I'm trying to transfer the method of learning. By myself and my project, we're trying to transfer structures of learning. You mentioned the time point where neurosurgery, for example, is here in Malawi. Neurosurgery is already here in Malawi. They're doing a lot of neurosurgical procedures. A lot of neurosurgical patients are treated here. And there are 2 neurosurgical specialists trained in Malawi on the ground here. So they didn't go to outside Malawi to be trained. They were trained here. So a large part of the structure for neurosurgery is already here. But we are training more disciplines or more sub-disciplines in neurosurgery with our project that the neurosurgery can grow here in Malawi. And of course, you saw that I'm in a wheelchair, and my way was not easy. My way was not easy, but I was convinced that this is my way, and I had my dream to become reality. So I knew that it's on me. I have to do everything that my dream becomes reality. And I had a lot of people were on my side and helped me, supported me, and I'm very, very thankful for that. Yes, I have a special wheelchair. I have a special wheelchair which is only positioned in the theater. This wheelchair is able to get me in the upright position, so I can do any neurosurgical surgical procedure. So I'm like anybody else who's not in a wheelchair. Technical support and mental support.
I feel new. I feel different. I haven't experienced this life for years. I've suffered for years. So I feel like I'm just a person who's been brought to life, and I'm starting to explore life again, because there's a lot I haven't been able to do. I have been that person that was just locked in the house.
So we brought together a good team of physiotherapists, nurses, doctors, and our goal was to transfer our knowledge, theoretical knowledge and practical knowledge, to widen the spectrum of neurosurgery in Malawi, to bring more technology, because neurosurgery is a discipline which needs technology. For example, the microscope, the operating microscope, CT scanners, MRI scanners, neuronavigation, it's a computer-assisted surgery. All these items, these are goals in our project to bring to Malawi, to transfer knowledge, to make an exchange project. We have an exchange project for doctors, nurses and physiotherapists. Malawian physiotherapists or nurses and doctors go to Germany, and also German nurses and physiotherapists and doctors come here to Malawi. Yeah, the vision is to improve, to give a good example for the improvement of neurosurgical healthcare in Malawi. We want this improvement, better neurosurgery for more patients on a high quality standard. This is the goal.
Words cannot express how I feel whenever I think of him. Words are too little for me, and I don't see a guy sitting in a wheelchair. Whenever I think of him in my mind, I see a hero. I see a guy who has changed my whole world. I had said several goodbyes to my kids. So even my kids, the moment mention Professor Thomas, they feel like, you know how that feels, somebody who's next to God, like I don't have so many words that I can. He's an angel. I can't, it's so difficult, you know. Every time I see him, I wish I could hug him, I wish I could kneel down, I know it's a feeling you can't understand. You just want to understand how I feel, that someone just comes from the blues after you've struggled, after my doctor has tried so many things, and then someone comes, and I don't think I have an exact word that I would use for him, just the way I felt to say a word on Professor Kamalo. These two guys are, I don't know, I mention them in my prayers. I don't know how many times I pray for them every day, because I know I need them every day. But then words cannot express how I feel and how grateful I am for their lives. To say I'm grateful is an understatement.
The project is life, and life is challenging. Yes, of course. The resource level here is quite different to what I experience in Germany. So we have to bring a lot of resources to get a higher standard here. Not every intervention is able to be transferred here to Malawi. There are cultural differences, there are language differences. So all these challenges are there, but we are able to overcome them.
Okay, I would just want to tell the world that neuro cases are treatable if you meet the right doctors like Professor Kamalo and Professor Kapapa. Especially in Malawi, I know people believe in witchcraft, people believe in so many things, but this thing, if they come to the hospital, it's treatable. People may suffer inside and just die silent, but this thing is treatable. Yes, the treatments are ongoing. It's something you may have to live with, like the shunt. It's not something that they'll take out. It's something you may have to live with and die with, but you can still have a life. You won't live the way people live, yes, but it's a life. And to me, being here means a lot to my kids, because they see me walk, they call me, they what. So to those that are also suffering and scared of surgeries, let them give it a try. It's worth it living. The life I lived is not the life I'm living today. That's what I can tell the world.